And she confronts him and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, I am responsible for her, I need to take care of her, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, now we are onto the summary, and I will be heavily relying on my notes because this is a 40 episode drama. Yeah, this will, I hope, be easier when I do K-dramas because K-dramas are 16 episodes. Oh, and just so you know, there's going to be spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, don't watch this entire section. I have timestamps. You can move on to the pros and cons. So we have to start with the first life and lay the basis for everything. So in the first life, Lee Rong and Pei Wen-shen are married. The reason they get married is because Lee Rong is the princess. She just has to get married. But the thing is, she is given like losers to like potentially marry because they want to control her power because she is princess. So if she marries someone of power, she'll just be like, because she's powerful, she marries someone powerful, they're gonna be too powerful to stop. So basically, she's forced to marry a loser. And so Pei Wen-shen is basically the best of the losers. And the only way he's a loser is because he's a commoner. He's not like from like established powerful family essentially. So he's just like a smart like commoner, and so he's really the best choice. So that's why they get married in the first life. And Lee Rong is basically just like, she's like happy with him. He's like good looking, I guess, and she was 18 and she was just kind of like full sending this like, basically their relationship goes awire because Pei Wen-shen had an engagement with some girl named Qin Zhen, and it was like they were their parents were like childhood friends or something like that. So it was a childhood engagement, and he was just originally like, he thought he was gonna marry her, so he was very devoted, and he kind of just like followed along because that's kind of what he grew up with. And then basically she enters the palace as Li Chuan's, who is Li Rong's younger brother and crown prince, future king Li Chuan. Li Rong, Li Chuan. So Li Chuan is eventually becomes king, right? And then he has Qin Zhen as one of his concubines. And basically she's struggling in the palace. You know, palace politics, they're all about power. And so Pei Wen-shen feels like an obligation to care for her. So basically he sets Qin Zhen and Li Chuan up. And yeah, Li Chuan only loves her. One thing is, this causes an issue with Li Rong and Pei Wen-shen's relationship because Li Rong finds out about everything he's doing for Qin Zhen, and she confronts him and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, I am responsible for her, I need to take care of her, and blah, blah, blah. And so he basically is confused about his own feelings and then doesn't reassure her basically and say like, hey, I love you. So at this point, Li Rong is like, oh, you love this other girl? We are done. We are over.
而且真正的事情让我认清了彼此，也心里有人，只是之前没有说清楚，现下明白了，也不是什么大事。 毕竟我也可以心里有人，这样，往后我们还是照样过。但是我心里清楚，我不再是你妻子，你也不再是我丈夫，我们各过各的，各找各的乐子。
Okay, and this is an important plot point because a lot of people get mad about this, but basically she starts living as if they're separated. But the thing is, she literally is like, let's get a divorce. And he's like, no, doesn't make sense.
你说不说话，我还认为你对我还有感情，可你说对我有感情。 还是这样他的事，那可就太可惜了。我们就不应该在一起。我现在就是情愿凤凰，我们和离吧。
殿下这是何必呢？
那你说怎样？
结为盟友，殿下应当知道，和离对你我来说并不是好事。从今往后，我们就顶着夫妻的名义过好各自的生活。结为盟友，绝不背叛。倘若背叛，
不得好死。
So they don't get divorced, but they are basically in agreement that the relationship is over. And this is when Su Rongqing comes into the picture. And everyone's like, oh, she's cheating on him. He and Li Rong kind of have a romantic relationship, but like kind of not, because he kind of treats her like a queen. And I mean, obviously we're talking about royalty, but basically he kind of like acts like a servant to her, even though he really doesn't have to, because he feels thankful that she saved him. And in the end, like, yeah, it's because of her power that he's alive. And so that story is, I mentioned earlier, Su Rongqing's family gets massacred. And then at the end of the first life, Pei Wen-shen and Li Rong both die. Basically, Li Rong gets poisoned. She thinks it's Pei Wen-shen's fault, and she tells Su Rongqing, like, if I die, kill him. That ends up what happening because Li Rong dies, and then she has Su Rongqing kill Pei Wen-shen. So that's what happens. So the second life begins, and Pei Wen-shen and Li Rong are not yet married. They return to when they were like 18 years old and young. And anyways, Pei Wen-shen, this is a little bit of the novel, but we're gonna include it anyways. He basically goes to see Li Rong because it's about the time that she's gonna choose her husband again. So he's like kind of in the picture. So he's like, oh, I just really want to like see her. Yeah, so basically when he's given the second chance, his main goal is actually to be with Li Rong because he did love her, and his biggest regret was that, yeah, they weren't together. They spent a very lonely 30 years, not in love, angry at each other, fighting and whatever nonsense. So he was like, oh, I am going to treat her well this time. I am going to, yeah, be with her. Turns out she's also back. And I love this plot point because they basically find out each other's back because they're both acting like they were when they were 40, and they just know each other so well. And
他这套怎么跟38岁是一样？
怎么，他这棋风跟40岁是一样
？18岁的人不都是这样？
记得20岁的裴文轩，多少带了几分年少青涩。可如今裴文轩见了，岂止是慌不忙，简直是一副老熟人的模样。
I love this. I love the foundation of like knowing each other so well. They're like an old married couple. So yeah, they find out immediately and then they're like, no, let's live our lives separately this time. Let's not get married. So Li Rong is like, oh, I am going to marry Su Rongqing because I love him, blah, 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 blah. She asks him to marry her and he's like, no, I can't. It is beyond me. He's from like a powerful, prestigious family. So if she does marry him, it's gonna cause problems in terms of politics. Cause like one thing is Li Rong's constantly acting in a way to like not overstep her power, but marrying Su Rongqing would definitely make her really, really powerful because she's powerful and he's also powerful. So then you got a power couple. He doesn't love her yet and he declines her marriage invitation and she's like, well, shoot, there's nothing I can do. And she's left with back to her loser options. She kind of just chooses another one because she agrees not to marry Pei Wenxuan. But basically, one of the candidates, the loser candidates, does some stuff and tries to hurt Li Rong. So Pei Wenxuan is still concerned for her. So while she is in this trouble, he like goes to save her, and then they are forced together and basically clear up their misunderstanding. And he's like, "Girl, I didn't kill you." And she's like, "Well, if you didn't kill me, like who did?" And then she basically realizes that it was probably Su Rongqing that killed her because her brother was responsible for Su Rongqing's entire family's death. And so she gets sad. And then basically the two realize that they might as well just get married because they just kind of need each other. So they're just like, yeah, let's just get married and then we'll get divorced when we want to go separate ways. And yeah, both of them help Li Rong's brother, Li Chuan, ascend the throne again and trying to prevent the evil things from happening that resulted in everything sad happening later, I guess. So basically, we spend the next couple episodes, their ally relationship develops, their relationship improves, but then they finally sort out the whole romantic relationship thing in episode 8, and this is where I started reading the novel. I will actually recap this entire thing because I love it. This is like my favorite scene. This is why I literally read all the novels. I was like, how? I can't believe something this beautiful happened. So basically, they are thrown into jail for plotline reasons, and they start talking about their honest feelings. At some point, he asks her, like, what do you think of me? And she's like, oh, you're actually pretty good. And then she goes into this entire, like, clearing up thing about how she's like, you're pretty good, but you're just really stubborn. She's like, in the past, you loved me, but you thought you loved Zen Zen.
其实那个时候，你人挺好的，就是心里面太执拗，想不开。
怎么说？
当年你许诺了秦真真要照顾她，自己就觉得君子一言驷马难追，也不管自己处于什么情况，执意了要去帮她。而且那个时候你觉得你心仪她，而后来突然拜倒在我的石榴裙下，你内心就挣扎起来，觉得自己怎么是这样三心二意的男人。
But she was someone else's. But you loved me, but because you couldn't let go of that past flame thing, you ended up ruining our relationship is kind of what she was going on. She's like, yeah, if you just let go of this woman that was already married and lived and loved me, then we would have had like this happy relationship.
你这话的意思是你当初已经知道我是喜欢你的？
不然呢？你若不喜欢我，怎么会对我那么好？
And then he's like, well, if you knew that I loved you, like, why didn't you just wait for me? Because if you knew that if you just like came to me, I would like fall for you, you know? She goes, even though I thought you loved me, I couldn't be sure. And get it, she's like a princess where her entire life, everyone's like playing her because of her power and her status, you know? So very fair, very valid reason.
我当时也就是脸皮薄，心里觉得你喜欢我，不敢确定吧。 况且谁人能不喜欢李荣？
And then so she admits that she gave up on the relationship. She was like, I am not going to go through this. She gives up on the relationship and does not fight for it. And he goes, why didn't you fight for it?
李荣，当初我都看不清自己， 你既然看得如此透彻，那你为何不等一等我？
你这话说的好笑，我又不是收破烂的，我凭什么等？
And then he goes, why didn't you fight for it? And she goes, I'm literally the princess. Like, I am a great woman. I'm not a junk collector. That's literally what she says.
我李荣，天皇贵胄，帝王血气，容貌不说夜绝天下，但也名圣目进者。我冰雪聪明，知书达理，钱财权势与我说不过是骗税。像我这样的女子，你不当问我为什么不等，你当问的是，凭什么要我等你？就算裴大人生得好看，我也不至于如此色令之婚吧。你当知道，有些伤痛一旦发生过，便很难再愈合。尤其是我生在洪家，对感情中真度的要求，几乎苛刻。
I love this entire thing. It makes sense with her character. It makes sense for everything. Ugh, beautiful plot point. But anyways, they clear up this entire misunderstanding and they get married. And since they are an old married couple, they sleep in the same bed and they just like maintain this pretty like intimate relationship kind of without like the emotions involved. The plot continues on and they bicker about Su Rongqing. She tries to set him up with Qin Zenzan and prevent her from becoming the concubine. And he's like, I don't like her. You know this too. I don't like her. We will clarify that. Like, you thought I loved both of you. He's like, no, I only loved you. And I was just delusional about Qin Zenzan. Great.
我对秦真真没有遗憾，若没有说我有什么遗憾的话，也只有你。我真的喜欢过，也失去过的，只有你。
我知道你曾对我动过心，但是你不喜欢秦真真，
因为你从来不愿走进我的心。凡事只要你认定了，任何人都动摇不了一分。
And then, so basically this entire arc of where he's like, no, I only loved you, their relationship gets more honest because he admits that, and then he's basically finally not like hiding anything from her, unlike the previous life where he hid like basically everything from her. And then she gets honest and she's like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I love Su Rongqing. I don't know how I feel about you because I have closed myself off so much because that's just how I was raised because I'm the princess, you know? And then basically at this point, Pei Wenquan is like, full sending, and he is just flirting with her. And he's like, you know what? There's no reason that I can't like win her over in this life. Like, I've already clarified that I only love her and we're like married. And Su Rongqing is not in the picture. So he's like, I'm gonna go for it.
你看我做什么？
殿下好看。
有讲话点。
殿下，你觉得我是怎样一个人？哎呦，我背疼。
那怎么办呢？你干嘛？你背疼你？
啊，等，别动，我不想放手。
And then basically he keeps treating her well and then flirting with her. She's scared about being honest and she basically kind of avoids the topic of emotions, even though she's like, oh yeah, I'll try to be honest, because she is scared about being rejected and being hurt. And on the side plot of Su Rongqing, he clearly is doing other things, because basically the entire time Li Rong and Pei Wenquan are doing things to have Li Chuan be the crown prince and like keep his power, because basically their father doesn't like him. He likes the concubine's son, so that kind of threatens Li Chuan's power. And so Li Rong and Pei Wenquan are just doing their best to like stabilize everything and like get him to be king again. But on the other hand, Su Rongqing is just doing the opposite. He actually is going for the concubine's child. So the concubine's child is called Li Cheng and Li Chuan. Li Chuan and Li Cheng. Okay, but Li Chuan is team Li Rong, you know, right? Su Rongqing is on team Li Cheng, and her feelings for him get like less and less. Like, also, number one, they aren't even together anymore, and also he's working on the other side. But of course, they spent 17 years together, so let's just understand that. So everyone gets really mad whenever she makes like loving eyes at him. But like, whereas Pei Wenquan was with her for like 1 happy year, she and Su Rongqing were together for 17 years. 17 good years, and he treats her well. Su Rongqing treated her really well. So like, it's hard for her to just like move on. And so at this point, Pei Wenquan, who is constantly flirting with Li Rong, is like, finally, I'm going to make a move. And he plans this elaborate confession, and Li Rong is so blindsided by her political agenda, she just completely does not realize, and basically ruins his confession. He gets really angry, and he's like, why are you acting as if you don't know my feelings? And he gets really angry because she just wants to maintain this comfortable relationship where he treats her well, but like not commit to him. So after he throws his fit, when they both calm down, she finally tells him that like, hey, I need time. She doesn't know how to like love someone and how to like actually be vulnerable because she spent her entire life obviously not being vulnerable.
看不上，你们呢？他们在干嘛？我知道， 我不是一个好心人，尤其是在这件事情上，我是你的声音，我没法相信你，也没法相信我自己。现在我不是男生惯对我的好，更不是你想托举你。我知道我说道理，他就是做不到，这就是做不到。相信毫无防备的交给另一个人，所以我的这样愿意有别的权利不会依赖。但是纵然我千万不是，你能不能看在哪怕是在承诺里，我们好不容易为生活在一起的份上，你懂吗？别走。
And then he's like, I can wait for you forever as long as you like come to me.
说了10年，20年可。有什么可以再加20年？我耐心很好的，我可以等很久。你怎么也没关系，我会拒绝，我也不会离开，因为我喜欢你，也喜欢好久。我会跟着你，一直往前走也是。
So then basically their relationship improves until Su Rongqing makes a move that results in them either needing to divorce or lose their power. And obviously Li Rong wants her power because she wants the power to protect people that she loves. And Pei Wen-shen throws a fat fit. He's like, why are you trying to divorce me? I refuse to divorce you in this life. Like, no. He throws a fit, and then this plot point that people don't really like is he gets angry at her. There's more to it, obviously, but he gets angry at her, and then she gets angry that he's angry, and then he goes soft because she is angry, and then she goes soft because he's soft now. And from there, they basically confirm their feelings.
但我真的很生气，我气的是我自己。我为什么没有早点知道你的心意？我本该相信你的，我本来相信你对我的情感，可我……李荣，我也会难过，我也会对不起。我没那么大方，我不喜欢你身边有其他男人，我更不喜欢你随时可以离开我的态度。
And she's like, hey, I love you. If we get divorced, I still love you as long as you trust me, like blah, 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 blah. And then he finally agrees to it because he's like, okay, I will just believe you love me now.
我没有想要权势，权势和你，我从来没有说过权势更重要，我只是想找到一个完全的办法来保护你。所以我跟你说合理，因为我知道苏荣基是钻进这里来，我不能让你进他的圈子。我或许没有你那么纯粹，所有感情相关的都不能交换，可我不是没有心。
And then I would say this is the point where they're basically officially a couple. In the novel, this is the first time they get intimate. But obviously, we get everything cut out. We don't even get a kiss. Oh, actually, we did get the kiss scene. We didn't get the hints that they had the intimate scene. But this is where all their intimacy starts in the novels. Makes a lot of sense in my opinion. I'm very upset that none of that is basically shown except like one, even though it's like a later one. But anyways, they plan on getting divorced. During this time, all three realized they actually came back. So Li Rong and Pei Wen-shen are back, but actually Su Rongqing is also back. And this is where we officially confirm it. There's been hints at it in the beginning, but like this is like they finally all three acknowledge that all three of us are back. So they get divorced, and this is actually the beginning of the relationship, which is funny because they get divorced and then they're just like secretly sticking to each other's places all the time to see each other. And oh, also on the side note, all the love lines still exist. So I don't know if I mentioned, but Shang Guanya and Su Ronghua had an affair, which is why the Su family got massacred. Oh, and then Li Chuan is still in love with Qin Zenzhen, except Qin Zenzhen is actually, so yeah, the thing is Shang Guanya is actually Li Chuan's empress. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but yeah, so then Qin Zenzhen is also supposed to be his concubine, but actually in this life, none of that has happened yet. Like Shang Guanya is not going to be his empress, and Qin Zenzhen is also not his concubine. Qin Zenzhen is off actually doing something else, and in this time, they're basically just sending each other's letters, and they just like can't really be together because Qin Zenzhen refuses to enter the palace, and yeah, and Shang Guanya obviously isn't marrying in this time. And Su Rongqing is actually still in love with Li Rong, and he just gets really sad all the time because he can't have her. And then I did not realize this is next to the plot, but at some point, Pei Wen-shen confronts Su Rongqing and is like, wait, when did you come back? And Su Rongqing is like, the same time you guys came back. And then Pei Wen-shen is like, oh my god, then why did you not marry her? Because you love her and you had the opportunity. Because so remember when I said earlier, Li Rong confesses and is like, hey, marry me, he says no. So that means this is the past Su Rongqing who was already in love with the princess. Not the 18-year-old Su Rongqing who's not yet in love with the princess, but the past one, which means he should have been willing to risk everything, including his like power, to be with Li Rong, but he doesn't. And Su Rongqing, which I love him as a character. I know this is going to be controversial take. I will explain this more at the end. But Su Rongqing is like, I actually just want her to be happy. Like, I want you and her to be happy together. Like, I love her, but I just can't be with her. So I was hoping you two would live happily ever after. And I think Su Rongqing goes more into being like, I can't be with her because I'm going to be against her brother because he is a terrible ruler, ruined my family, ruined my life, blah, 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 blah.
那你既然已经回来，为何当初还是选海人地区的？那如果说我希望你过得好，你信吗？前提是不要产生激事。
Pei Wen-chuan, which is also the perspective of Li Rong, is like, nothing has happened yet. You can literally prevent everything from happening. Your family's not massacred yet. Li Chuan has not made decisions yet. You can literally, you have the knowledge to do something differently, but instead you're acting as if all these things will happen, and as a response, this is why he's doing the things he is, versus trying to fix it, you know? In a way, they both have very similar missions. I feel like they want the bad events to not happen, but Li Rong and Pei Wen-chuan think that they can fix it by preventing the situations that made Li Chuan the way he is, whereas Su Rongqing is just trying to prevent it entirely. Like, if Li Chuan is never the king, he will never make those decisions, basically. So different perspectives kind of coming around to the similar mission. And then so the last half, finally everything happens. Big confrontation. Team Li Chuan versus Team Li Cheng. And basically Team Li Cheng is just like all the evil, powerful people, and Su Rongqing, who's obviously hella smart. He's like the reason why everything is so difficult, because if he had just been on their side, everything would be so much easier. Okay, but then I guess one important plot point I'm basically only summarizing the romance. You can watch it for the politics if you want. But basically Li Cheng tries to kill Li Rong. What ends up happening is Su Rongqing, who loves Li Rong, is still like, even though he's Team Li Cheng, he's not in on the kill princess. So he basically saves her. They fall down romantically down this cliff that people also really hate. And they get stuck in a cave, and they finally talk, because at this point Li Rong just realized because Li Cheng just got poisoned. She realized that it was the same poison that was used to kill her in the first life, and that Su Rongqing actually didn't kill her, because the thing that she thought he killed her with was actually the antidote. So then she's like, she basically is asking him for the truth. This is now the big reveal. The story, we're going back to Shang Guanya. So also, Shang Guanya only marries Li Chuan because she wants to protect her family. And so yeah, she is forced into this marriage, and she's really just trying her best. From Shang Guanya's perspective, she's really just trying her best. But the thing is, she and Li Chuan are not in love. Whereas she is willing to sleep with Li Chuan for like balance in the political world, Li Chuan is like, no, I cannot sleep with someone I don't love. Fair as well. This is when Qin Shenzhen comes into the picture, and he madly falls in love with Qin Shenzhen. He only likes Qin Shenzhen, only sleeps with her. So Qin Shenzhen has a kid, but Shang Guanya, who is the empress, does not have a kid.
太医术来人说，洁妃娘娘是喜脉，喜脉，快带朕去看看。
陛下，您快去看看清妃吧。
快。
Once again, this is bad for power dynamics. So Shang Guanya is like, I need a man to sleep with. So it turns out that Shang Guanya's kid is not Li Chuan's kid. It is Su Ronghua's kid, because Su Ronghua does the deed with Shang Guanya so that she can get pregnant and like maintain her power. But the issue still is that Li Chuan is way too biased against Qin Shenzhen. Like, rightfully, the empress's kid is supposed to be the next in line, but he loves Qin Shenzhen so much he wants Qin Shenzhen's son to be king, and he's already sus about Shang Guanya because he does not sleep with her, right? So like, how could this be his kid? So then Su Ronghua, who wants the best for Shang Guanya, because Shang Guanya is suffering in the palace because she has no power, he tries to kill Qin Shenzhen's child, but accidentally kills Qin Shenzhen. So then this makes Li Chuan go insane, because he obviously does not want to marry Shang Guanya, but then they kill his woman. Then he kills the entire Su family. But then obviously this is when Li Rong steps in and saves just Su Rongqing. Su Rongqing is still castrated because obviously the entire affair of business. Anyways, time passes and Li Chuan basically is insane by now. He lost his woman, this affair was going on, and then he just goes crazy. with everything going on in the political world and having like no power to stop everything, you know. One thing to note is he never wanted to be ruler anyways, and he was just kind of forced into the position. But basically, one thing to note is I think Li Chuan does actually not have proof that Shang Guanya's child is not his. So at this point, the Su family's dead. Time passes, Li Chuan is going insane, and Shang Guanya is like, I need to save my child. So she plans to kill Li Rong, and then, well, I think Li Chuan is already dying at this point or something like that. So she eventually does something to make Li Chuan hate Li Rong, and at this point Li Chuan does hate Li Rong because Li Chuan is very he's like, Li Rong just keeps giving him advice to just be a good ruler and ignoring his feelings. Like, she's just like, yeah, just sleep with the empress, and he's like, I don't love her. And so their relationship becomes strained because Li Rong is really thinking in terms of politics in a level head, but she's kind of ignoring Li Chuan's feelings. So Li Chuan starts to resent Li Rong. And then Shang Guanya basically just like puts in a situation for him to completely like hate her. So Li Chuan is actually the one who makes Li Rong get murdered. He's the one that poisons her own brother. This is like the big reveal because Li Rong's entire mission for the entire drama has been to protect her brother and to like let him become king. And it turns out that he killed his own sister. So now Li Rong's entire mission is like thrown into chaos. So then Li Chuan poisons her. Su Rongqing is aware of it, and Su Rongqing does nothing, even though he loves the princess, because he feels bad for Shang Guanya, because Shang Guanya's child is actually Su Ronghua's child, and he's the last Su family bloodline because Su Rongqing is castrated and the rest of the Su family's dead. So then Su Rongqing just lets everything happen, basically. So he's the one, I think, that administers the poison, but Li Chuan is the one that commands it. So yes. Okay, so then after this great big reveal that Su Rongqing tells amongst like 3 episodes, and at this point Li Rong is like, I don't think I want Li Chuan to become king anymore. He kills me. Like, why would I want that now? And so she is ready to hop onto Team Li Cheng and start siding with Su Ronghua. But Pei Wenxuan is like, okay, I understand everything that's going on. And Pei Wenxuan honestly is just so smart. He just kind of knows everything that's going on. And then he's like, hey, before you decide anything, go talk to your brother. And so she goes to talk to Li Chuan. At this point, she already resents him. She's like, wow, you killed me in the past life. And she asks him, she's like, what should I do if you become king and you betray me?
在我那个梦里，你杀了我，该让你偿命了。
And he's like, kill me.
如果这场必须没有留来，就拿去，现在杀了吧。
有本事就是。
我当时想清楚，我走这条路，我应该是有这里，也算是成功。
And then she gets really sad, and then she's like, no, I can't kill you. And then she decides to stay on Team Li Chuan, but she's like, I'm going to leave, so you never have to worry about me. Because basically she can't keep her power and be there, I guess. So she's like, okay, I will just give up my power and you can just do everything. Like, I'm just gonna go away. I don't know if I ever mentioned, but Su Ronghua is Su Rongqing's older brother. I don't think I explicitly said that anywhere. Basically, Su Ronghua turns to Shang Guanya's side, and Team Li Chuan is basically going to win. At this point, Pei Wenxuan tells Li Rong she's pregnant. Things are different, right? Because in the previous life, those two weren't together, they were unhappy, and then blah, blah, blah. Team Li Chuan and Team Li Cheng battle it out. Li Chuan wins. By this point, a lot of people are dead. The king, her father's dead. The concubine, who's Li Cheng's mother, is dead. And Su Rongqing is dead. I will say question mark because in the novel, he dies in the same way, but it's a fake death. They didn't clarify anything, and I think there's one special episode, so he could be alive. Maybe he isn't. Story ends with Li Chuan. He actually becomes king because Li Cheng is dead. And then he delegates his duties to his sister, Li Rong, as he wants to go travel with Qin Zenzhen. The story just ends there. She becomes queen, basically, and then it's a happy ending. That was a really long summary. Okay, into the pros. The things I loved about it.